everybody, how's it going? I'm doing something a little different. I'm just giving a PSA because I dealt with something today, and as a light worker, when I see area of the world that's covered in darkness, it is my job to project light on it. So I really want to talk about women and getting some rights for us as far as health stuff. So men, this is mostly for you because I'm really trying to educate men, because a lot of the headbutts and the miscommunication and what I experienced today is because I have two men that are bosses and they just don't understand. So please listen with open heart and understand that we don't need to be belittled for something that we have to deal with every month. It is not funny. Don't laugh, don't smirk, don't make us feel uncomfortable for talking about it in the open. We should be able to be comfortable in going to our male bosses and talking about this, and we just aren't, because men just, there's a shut-off point, and they just, every time I've had an issue, not just this job, and I'm not like trying to paint anybody as a villain, but it's going to continue to happen in the future for a lot of women, and I just don't want another girl to have to deal with this, because what I dealt with today, I have a very high pain tolerance, and like I said, I was trained by a Navy SEAL, so I will push through it. But this is mostly for women who have diagnosis, okay? I know a lot of women do use periods to get out of gym class and a bunch of stuff, and it really is unfortunate that they do that, because they're only harming people who do have these conditions like me. I'm very lucky in my diagnosis. I have something called p.c.o.s, and they're not even sure that I have that. You can Google it. It's a very long term. I'm not going to get too scientific. I'm just trying to tell you what it's like as a woman, and mine, like I said, is very mild. That's why I'm being tested for other things. I might have been misdiagnosed, but about twice a year I get attacks, which means my body creates cysts. Every time I go through my cycle, I create cysts, but not all of them are something that I can feel, or sometimes they sit in there and they can explode later at the next cycle. So what I think, in my own personal opinion, so every woman has 12 cycles a year. So 2 cycles of that year is my body getting rid of all the cysts that have formed in my uterus, and they explode. And this is what happens when they explode. And please don't make fun of me. I'm not trying to be gross or make women look disgusting. Men, I just need you to listen and not belittle us, because this is the issue. Before they explode, I experience contraction-like pains all day. So all day, about every 15 minutes, I was experiencing a contraction. I know what a contraction feels like. I have carried a baby. I have pushed one out. And I couldn't understand why this was happening, because I don't normally get these, because something happened to me today that I need to go and actually get checked up on. They said that this could happen, but I've never actually had it. I peed out a cyst today, and those contractions that I was feeling was my body opening so that it could, I mean, it was only like that big, but that's bigger than a kidney stone, and it was painful all the way down. And 2 hours before it came out, I asked to go home. I wasn't feeling good. I had really bad cramps, and this is why I kept going about my day. I took some Motrin. I was like, this isn't touching it. And like I said, I have a high pain tolerance. I was, every 15 minutes, I would find something to lean on, but I don't make it obvious. I literally will walk around in labor when I did have my kids, and nobody even knew I was in labor yet. You know what I mean? Like, I have a high-ass pain tolerance, so I don't do women justice, because most women, and I'm not bragging here, I have been trained to ignore fucking pain, would be on the ground in tears, and there were 4 times today that I was just standing there crying with tears down my face because it hurt so fucking bad. And then I would get a breather, and then it would contract again, and you can't do anything. There's no fucking pain, man. I don't give a fuck unless you get an epidural or the good shit. You are feeling it. Motrin, don't touch it. Ibuprofen, don't touch it. Midol, don't touch it. This is what men don't understand. We can't just take some, when we are diagnosed with things like this, when our body is creating cysts and they're exploding. By the way, so you get the contractions up to the exploding. When it starts exploding, I know they're exploding because every time one explodes, it's like a stab, like a deep stab, like somebody just fucking stabbed me in the uterus. It lasts up to 3 minutes sometimes for an hour if I get clusters and they pop all at once. Sometimes 5 or 6 of them will pop at once. Then here comes the fun part. When those cysts pop, they are full with blood. So it's like you're peeing your pants, blood out, your woohoo, and you can go through a pad in 2 minutes. You can actually hemorrhage and bleed out with p.c.o.s. And I vocalized to my boss that I was having difficulties and I was having cramps, and everybody just thinks that women use it as an excuse. And as I said, I'm a very different kind of woman. A woman, I should have went to the hospital. Like, I should have had help because my body never experienced that. It's a new level of something that I need to discuss with my doctor. It didn't happen again. The contractions are getting lighter, and it really only lasts 2 days for me. Like, it won't be the whole time of my cycle. And like I said, this is twice a year that I get these horrible things. I get cramps every time, but I mean, this debilitating pain. And people who have p.c.o.s, like I said, I'm very rare. They will experience this every 28 days of their life. There's no cure for it. There's no getting rid of it. And men really need to stop making us feel like we're using it as an excuse. I would like a man to have gushing blood out of their penis and things exploding in it and them try to work. This is why we push out the babies. Okay? We are a tougher species. We are built for pain. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be taken seriously when we need to have a day off. The health department needs to understand that if you are diagnosed with something like p.c.o.s or endometriosis, I wrote it down because I could never say it right, we should be clinically paid to have at least one day off a month, because that is agony. And we're bleeding. Mostly we want to stay home because we're bleeding so bad. We bleed through our pants a couple times a day. We don't want to deal with that at work or school, and we shouldn't have to. There is nothing that you can put in my body that will stop the flow of blood for me, so that I can have a normal fucking day and not bleed through my pants and be embarrassed. Women deserve to be behind closed doors when they experience things like that. It's not fair that we are subjected to it when we experience things on a more extreme level than most women. Other women look at me and they're like, oh, just take some Midol. They don't have endometriosis. They don't have p.c.o.s. They, wouldn't talk to someone like that in labor. So don't talk to women like that are experiencing it, because that's what it feels like, women. It's labor for 1 day every 28 days for these women. I'm the lucky one. I only have to deal with it twice a year, sometimes only once a year. That's why I'm being tested for other things, because it's abnormal to have it. I cannot imagine the amount of shit that they get from their jobs, because some of these women have to take 3 days off. That they explode the whole time. They don't get a day off. And they sometimes need to take a whole week off because it's so painful that they can't even fucking function. And they're not paid for that. So every month for 5 days, they got to eat it because of something they can't control. We need rights. And we need men bosses to understand we are not asking for pity. We are deserving of humility to go home and have to go to the bathroom every hour because we're bleeding out. I don't want the whole world to see my blood through my fucking pants when I can't control it, because can you run to the bathroom every 20 minutes at your job without getting in trouble? We need activism, and not just about our reproductive rights, but about our cycle rights. Why do we have to pay for things that we absolutely need? and they're getting more expensive every year. That's not covered in our fucking insurance. Pads and tampons should be fucking covered. Period. No